The fact that they went to the wrong tomb, it's really not plausible. It's not a fact at all. It's a fiction. We know that the women mark the tomb. Joseph of Arimathea, who was in Jewish ruling leadership, had likely told the Sanhedrin, who were very much against Jesus, which tomb he was in. They very much cared about which tomb he was in. So we have both the Jewish leadership, the Roman leadership, and then all of the Christian leadership knew as well. And I know that might be less plausible for you because, of course, they would know. But the disciples knew, and the women who were followers of Jesus knew, like Joanna and Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Jesus. They also knew. So many, many people knew. Many people cared about where he was. He was in a rock-cut tomb, which was a very prominent tomb. This wasn't like a normal tomb where you buried him just outside the town, just in a hole in the ground. This was a rock-cut tomb, a wealthy person's tomb. Second, did he swoon? Is it possible that his heart rate went down to below, one beat every 30 seconds, and then over 3 days he resuscitated, got energy, and then he was able to push the rock out and, make his way out of the tomb? They made sure he was dead before they took him off the cross. That's what the spear is about. And so you can look at the text, and you can look this up in YouVersion, where they thrust the spear into his side, and they saw blood come out and water came out, which means they hit multiple organs. And this proves, it didn't flinch at all, that Jesus died before they brought him down. In fact, they weren't allowed to bring criminals down from the cross. A Roman centurion would be punished by death if he allowed a criminal who was being crucified to come down before he had experienced the full pain of his crucifixion. It was supposed to be excruciating. It was supposed to take forever. Jesus's was less. It was 9 hours, less time on the cross because he had already been whipped and scourged before he got put up there. So the swoon theory, I find that most people don't really hold that at all. It's not really something that people, struggle with. But the other one is the disciples stole the body, or somebody stole the body. There's strips of linen that are in the tomb. And again, I shared this in the message, but if you're stealing, if you're thieving, then it's rush. You're trying to get the body out so that no one can see you. Now, they had to get past the 16 Roman guard. The rock is away from the tomb, the text says, and we have multiple accounts that it was away from the tomb, not up its trench, which was hard enough to get away. But if you're getting past all that and you get into the tomb and you're grabbing the body, you don't take the time to unwrap the linens and to set them where Jesus sat. You would take it and you would leave the evidence. If you just look at the reasoning, the logical, rational, most plausible thing that could have happened, you're wanting to get out of there very fast. You're not going to take the time to unwrap the body and hold the bloody, already decaying body if you're stealing it. So there's also the evidence that he appeared to over 500 people. This isn't just the disciples, kind of wishing something into existence. He appeared to over 500 people. In fact, 1 Corinthians 15:6 says that in Scripture. These people were still alive, and they could have been talked to and checked on, in the time that the disciples started claiming that Jesus had risen from the dead and started preaching by Acts 2, it's not very rational to think that they wouldn't have been refuted very quickly if, in fact, those 500 people, if there weren't a bunch of witnesses, at least a dozen, and there were hundreds of witnesses saying, no, I saw him. I saw him do things physically. I touched the holes in his hands and in his side. I saw him eating fish. These are all things that these 500 witnesses were saying, including the disciples, and someone could have said and raised their hand, no, they're saying that I'm one of the 500, but I didn't. And the whole thing would have been refuted. In fact,